Sophos Network Detection and Response is able to perform some very powerful analytics on network flows. As it performs those analytics, it's going to score the flow and generate detections. There's a variety of things that will show up from detections. You'll have the flow-based detections, which are based on IPS rules, machine learning models, and analytics of the flow, as well as general device detection reports. What we want to do today is explore how to understand a flow-based detection when it comes in. First, let's go ahead and take a look at the flow-based detections we have in this system. To easily see all of the flow-based detections, we're going to set the classification rule to look for flow. So this will get any detections in the system where the rule was a flow-based detection from the Sophos Network Detection and Response product. We'll set it to look at the last 7 days worth of data. Here we can see we have a number of flow-based detections with a variety of threat scores. The score is based on the number of detections, types of analytics that were performed, and the confidence of the machine learning models for the activity that it's seen. When exploring a flow-based detection, one of the first things you'll notice is that it's not an easy-to-understand format. It's a fairly complex record that's been sent up to Sophos Central. It's a JSON structure. And the detection context seen here is the flow record that was analyzed. Here we can see a fairly large flow record showing the application protocol, bytes sent and received, as well as other details, including, off to the side, the geolocation for the adversarial machine that was seen, the individual flow ID, flow risk analytics, showing the types of analytics that were performed on the flow and confirmed to be present, as well as any URL. And then interesting here, a Trojan was detected. And there's more information. Looking at each of the detection records in this way can be very time-consuming and difficult for most operators. So what we've done is we've added a human-readable interpretation of these records. The way you get access to that is by pivoting from a key piece of information in the flow record itself, the message identifier. This is the document that was sent into Sophos Central. It's a SHA-256 of the record. From here, when I select this, I can see I have pivot options. Everything from going and looking up the SHA-256 in virus total, which wouldn't be of much use because it's the record here that's in the data store, to additional queries that are available that take SHA-256 as an input variable. Here we're going to look at the NDR detection details card view. This is a query that performs an interpretation of that record and presents it in a human-readable form, describing what was found and providing enough information to help you make a decision of what you want to do. Remember, we had a 7-day period when we looked for this. The message identifier has been entered here as a variable, and we're going to go ahead and run the query. Now, instead of looking at a JSON structure, we'll have a text-based description of the detection record and all of the components inside it. Here we can see the summary of information that was found. There's the date of the detection, it's a severity 8 detection, an investigation case should have been created. We've checked the MAC address of the sending machine to confirm whether or not it's managed by Sophos. It's not a managed device. We have the IP address and the communication protocol and application protocol used. This detection record contained a single flow record with 2 flow risks, HTTP numeric host IP, and an explanation of what that is, and binary application transfer. We also see that an IDS detection occurred. A network Trojan was detected. We can see that a malware family analytics was run. So this is a machine learning algorithm to detect variants of communications for malware families. And here we can see that that machine learning analysis has detected redline with a fairly high probability that it's an accurate classification, 56%. The device with a MAC address was communicating on the following ports, and we have some additional information. We were able to extract a host name for the destination address. We were able to examine the number of bytes sent and received and the time that it took. The TCP flags for both the client to server and server to client communications. And lastly, the destination location, a telecommunications company located in the Netherlands in southern Holland. This, as a detection, is highly likely that a Trojan was being used. We've identified the family. Because this is an unmanaged asset, you'll need to, as an administrator, understand where that asset is in your environment or adjust firewall rules. If it were a managed asset, you'd be able to go to that device and get additional details. In addition to this type of information, you can, if you want, use a simple wildcard here and look at the records for all detections over a 7-day period in the same format. This may take a little bit longer to run. It is doing a fair bit of work to extract the information out and put it in a human-readable form. It's dependent on the contents of the record for what rows will be shown. Some files will have a domain generation algorithm detection, detecting that we believe that an auto-generated communication to the network is happening. Here you can see the summary for this one. It was an 8, MAC address, flow risks. We can go through multiple pages of these detections. Again, you have a message identifier to help you look it up and an explanation for everything that was found. So no flow risks were detected, but we did detect communication to a botnet. And we weren't able to extract a host name, so very limited information there, probably why this only scored a 5 in the environment, but it was from an unmanaged asset. An additional query that's been added is one that will go ahead and look for a table view of this same information. So again, we're in a detection record, and we want to see the information as a table instead of as a human-readable chart. We can go to the message identifier, perform a pivot, and go ahead and look at the table view of this record. Effectively, it extracts the information out and puts it in a slightly more usable form. Where this is important or most useful is when there are multiple flows involved in the single detection. In this case, I think we're looking at a detection that had a single communication flow that was being analyzed. It does organize the information better than what we see in the JSON structure, in that we can see we have a timestamp, the protocols, the source IP, destination IP. Scrolling to the right, we can see that other information. The web host name, flow record IDs, which are useful if you're performing additional lookups in the data store, that Trojan classification, the IDS message source, that there is an EPA confidence detection with 55.9% accuracy, as well as the exact number of bytes sent and received and the communication protocols that were being used. This also has additional information around URLs, user agent, and TLS classifications if available. To access these queries, you need to have them loaded in your Sophos Central Console. We will be adding those over time, and there's a community forum post that will be going up shortly to describe it. The queries are already available in Sophos's community forum for network detection and response. Going there, we can see all of the queries that are available. There's the flow-based detection. Here's the card-based detection. And if you want, you can actually go ahead and take a look at the code for that query with instructions on how to load it into your environment and run it yourself. Thank you very much.